Adjust those rabbit ears, fix the brightness, and tune in as we count down our top 5 TV theme songs. Don't touch that dial.
Get ready for the 3324 podcast, where lifelong friends Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber share their love of all things music and movies. Dean has directed short films and is a music trivia buff. And Eric, trained in audio engineering, brings his extensive knowledge of music and film to the conversation as they discuss, debate, and celebrate their favorite albums, films, and much more.
Welcome, friends, to the 3324 podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, please, right away, before we get started, give us a like. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. We're trying to build that subscriber base in YouTube land, Eric, right? We need more people watching these mugs and still framing the weird faces that we make.
Yeah. And it takes 10 minutes of prep before we start the episode. We just had to readjust our cameras and all this so we could look pretty for you people out there.
Exactly. Just for the YouTube audience. The ones that are on Spotify are getting the audio sensation, but you can listen to us either way, whatever your pleasure is. If you're in the car, take us on Spotify. If you're home and you're doing stuff, go ahead and subscribe on YouTube, because we've got a lot of other stuff there. We've got a whole bunch of live shows that are archived there, trivia nights that we did. So there's some more material there. And I am getting to upload some of the older episodes that we kind of didn't do in order. So there's some extra bonus stuff going out weekly as well. So if you would, go ahead and like and subscribe. So there's the call to action for this episode. We'll leave you alone. We'll leave you alone for the rest of it. Just do it though. That's all we ask is just
do it. Do it.
Yeah,
Do it.
Come on, do it. It's here.
All right. Okay. See what we started now. All right. Let's.
It's here.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got another top 5. We haven't done one in a while, so this kind of popped out. I just kind of blurted it out last week, and Eric's like, "Yeah," and Jerry was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, let's do this one then." And we got Christy, and pretty excited. So we're going to do the top 5 TV theme songs. So we're going back to
top 5.
You did not say yeah. You were a little more ambivalent. You were like, "Yeah."
Yeah. It was more like,
I do remember I said, yeah.
Yeah, he did. And Christy's like, I suppose. So without any further ado, we've
top 5 favorite, right?
Yeah, top 5
favorite.
5. Yeah. Not the ones we hate.
As opposed to,
yes. The ones that we despise.
So it
what?
Well, you know what that means, right?
Oh, no.
I mean, top 5 favorite.
Eric's going to put them in chronological order, alphabetized, and criterion.
Actually, no.
Yeah.
Criterion
no.
Not in your order either.
No particular order. Nothing.
No particular order. That's fine.
No.
That's fine. So we've got 2 guests here. For those that are on YouTube, you've been seeing them already, but for those that are listening, you've only heard them, and of course, they might hopefully sound familiar to you if you've been longtime listeners. We've got, of course, Ms. Christy Cuomo with us. So welcome, Christy. There you go. That's the enthusiasm, the fake enthusiasm that we're looking for.
Thanks,
the faux happiness.
She looks nice and toasty in her.
Thank you, Eric.
See, I'm starting to sweat looking at Christy right now.
Eric.
Well, hey, get your mind out of the gutter.
We know
it's a family show.
Yeah,
no, it never was. We tried to pretend that it was. It started that way.
Yeah.
we had every intention of doing that, but you know what? Our true personality, you can only keep the wolf away from the door for so long before your mask comes off, and I can only keep the mask on for a certain amount of episodes before the mask started to slip. So welcome, Christy. Welcome to this episode. First one of 2024. So welcome aboard. Jerry Sullivan.
Hello.
Transmitting from parts unknown, the icy tundra up north. How are you, Jerry?
With a face for radio.
Me too.
And he's got the cozy.
Yep.
Oh man,
is that Ensure? What are you drinking?
What are we drinking tonight, Jerry?
I stick with the Pabst Blue Ribbon for my podcasts.
I have
PBR classic.
Yes.
It's a classic like the
I have mint
classic
ginger
TV
tea.
themes. I think we're gonna have, and Christy, of course, has got the mint tea.
Mint
Dry
tea.
January. Who drinks in dry January?
People that are not dry.
Dry January.
Yeah, what is that? Dry January.
Not-
It's
Get an AA meeting.
Not to,
it's raining outside right now, so if Mother Nature can't stay dry, there's no reason I should honor it.
Yes.
that's a valid point, but no one
Okay,
said
so
that
that-
you can't do edibles or others.
That being said, what are you drinking tonight, Dean?
I just have H2O. I have God's liquor.
Oh, well, see, there you go. Lipton, way to go.
Lipton. Oh,
Wow.
see, so we got,
See?
Black tea,
Nice.
milk and sugar, the way the Brits do it. So
That's the way it should be. That Eric was the one that introduced me to tea with a lot of sugar. And I was like, what is this magical elixir you have given me? We were like in 7th or 8th grade. It was like, it was like tea with a load of sugar.
And a lot of
I'm
sugar.
like,
So
yeah.
now,
I'm like, oh, wow.
Sugar with some
And I've
tea.
since then cut down on.
Yeah, so I get to drink and then I get to chew at the end. I get to chew all the sugar from the bottom.
for some reason,
It was like a drink and candy.
for some
I'm like,
reason,
this guy's a genius.
I picture you and Eric in
We
like
will be best
Anchorman.
friends forever.
You and Eric in your own
What do you want to do, Eric?
Anchorman.
What do you want to do, Eric?
Yeah, bounce it off the walls.
Magical elixir like an Anchorman.
Yes, it was. Oh, it was this beautiful concoction that he handed to me in a cup.
It was sugar that he handed to you. It wasn't. It could have been sugar
Oh, it
and
was glorious. It was glorious. It was sugar. It was milky. It was hot. It was warm. This was before the age of kids drinking coffee, so coffee was an adult beverage. So
so then you just put the
when
sugar
Eric
and the
presented me
coffee.
with when
True
Eric
that.
presented me with this kind of adult-like beverage, but sweetened, I was like, I'm a man.
Yeah.
So basically, your tea is like Kix. The cereal Kix.
Not
It's
now.
sugary.
There's maybe not even half a teaspoon of sugar in this.
I bet you Dean's clumping them in.
His
lumps.
tea, he made the tea version of like frosted cornflakes, but like a tea version. It was like all sugar. It was great. It was great. It was great.
How many lumps would you like?
Just all of them, all of the lumps. Anyway, let's get kicking on this. We've got we're gonna do top 5 TV theme songs. Jerry said something beforehand. Christy said something beforehand, and I went through it also. And Eric, I believe I think we have already an episode we could do in 2025 is top 5 TV theme songs part 2.
Okay.
Because this was different.
It was different.
No, my list was pretty much set. Like I ran the list, and then I stopped because I was like, because when you start thinking, that's when the deep thoughts come in, and that's when the doubt. This is another expansive category because there was no parameters of decades or anything, right?
Absolutely, and it's a list that can constantly change.
Yes,
because with TV, I mean, you remember shows that you loved back in the day, and you watch them now. They're they don't quite hold up, perhaps, or whatever. Maybe they're just not as good as you remember. So that kind of nixes the song might be better than the show.
Some are better than I remember.
Yes.
A lot of shows, it was funny because, it's not going to be any surprise. Everything I have is from the 70s pretty much. So there's not a surprise there. But that was the time, we're of a certain age where most families had one television set growing up, again, of people of a certain age. So you pretty much if you wanted to watch TV, it was whatever your parents were watching. You kind of had to be there unless you were going to go to your room and read a comic book or listen to music or do other things. So that the TV was that gathering, was still that gathering place for families. Like I said, like I bemoan so much nowadays that with streaming and so many different services and so many different ways to get things, it's so splintered that did you? A lot of people say, "Oh, did you see this movie?" It's like, well, I don't have this service, so I haven't. Back in the day, everybody, it was 5 channels, 7 channels.
That's true.
Everybody saw everything. It was like kind of like it was a very narrow funnel. So you
were all kind of on the same page.
Pretty much. When there was a big event, when the last episode of MASH was on, everybody watched it, even if they weren't a MASH fan. It was like that was the event, so you tuned in.
That's right.
So it was kind of part of the growing up, the TV experience was, these TV shows were on every week and like clockwork. because that was the narrow funnel that we lived in. And like I said, it was kind of a familial experience, even if I didn't care for the show. I was like, I'm going to watch because I want to watch TV. Right? Does anybody agree, disagree?
No, I
totally agree.
I think you're right on point. Yeah, absolutely.
And you couldn't skip the intros. Like, that's why.
That's right.
Well, that's the thing too.
You
is like,
stream it, skip intro, and there you go.
Well, yeah, but the thing is like there are a lot of shows that don't even have theme song anymore,
because
right?
it's 30 seconds.
They just
to make
start
more show. Yeah,
or they'll shorten the song sometimes, which always piss me off in certain cases. But right, I mean, so. But yeah, to your point, Dean, with streaming, it's like you find yourself just clicking away. And
let's start it.
We have so much at our fingertips now that it's difficult. I get just an anxiety attack even just watching streaming sometimes, because I don't even know what the hell to put on anymore, because it's just because you have everything there. I mean, there's so many great movies, but I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch that later. I'm going to do this, But then I end up going back to the
same
old
stuff.
To the old shows. Peacock is probably my number one watched streaming service, because I'm watching Columbo I'm watching Frasier, I'm watching Cheers, I'm watching The Office, when one is done, I'm back to that, another one.
Yep.
And I'm there's so much new stuff on there. I don't care. It's like I'm just, Seinfeld on Netflix too is another one. So
it's an assault on the senses, because, like I said, there's so many different services and things vying for your eyes. And I'm the same thing. I'll be like, oh, what am I going to watch? Oh, Wrath of Khan is on. Okay, it's like
sign me up.
Yeah, let me get back into my comfort zones. So, Christy, do you feel that way as well, or are you more Ted Lasso and more open to kind of going towards the newer?
I think
the newer stuff. We'll get to the TV themes eventually, but we're kind of teeing up.
I think I'm a little bit of in between both worlds, where like I'll leave especially like during the pandemic when you're home all the time, I left The Office on because I didn't have to. I've seen them all. I just leave it on and watch it. I did with Arrested Development. I think Seinfeld. So I do what Eric does, and I go back to my comfort zone. But I'm picky because I have commitment issues to television shows. I don't have a hard time when they jump the shark either, of letting go. Like when Walk the Dead jumped the shark, I was like, I'm done. So like right now, like I'm watching. Walking Dead. Right now, like
what's Walk the Dead?
That's a different. That's one she made up in her head.
One I made up in my head. It's like I watched Ted Lasso and I enjoyed it, and it was short. It was 3 seasons, so it was fine. Like I'm watching Slow Horses on Apple, which is actually one of my favorite new television characters, the one that Gary Oldman plays. But it's like you said, Dean, it's an assault on your senses. Like there's so much now, and it's too much. And so I'm very particular about when it comes to a new show, what I'll commit to and watch. I've never seen Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. Because
I gave up on that after season 3. Yeah,
but it's like what is it, like 12 years? I'm like, I'm not doing that. Mm-hmm. I would love to watch The Wire, but it's too long, and I don't want to commit to it. Like I just don't. Yeah.
That's why people binge nowadays too. They just kind of go through and you plop yourself down for 8 hours. And
I
you
know,
like,
but
okay,
how healthy is that? Like that's not healthy.
It's not, but it is. It's kind of the nature of things now. Is kind of I binged.
All you're doing, that's not doing it once.
I mean, that's the great thing about newer shows, is that they only have maybe 8 to 10 episodes a season now.
Yeah.
Whereas like shows would just drag 26 episodes a season. Because then when you binge this stuff, you find yourself watching the same episode twice, because there's like reoccurring like storylines and things that are just too similar, and that one can easily been cut out, trim the fat kind of thing. So but like Christy's right. There are just so many shows that Kelly and I want to commit to at this point, like Succession. I heard so much great things about that. It just ended. Let's check that out. And then I started getting into the Taylor Sheridan stuff, the Kevin Costner show with the
Yellowstone.
I watched the one with Harrison Ford, and I watched the one with the older one with Faith Hill. I got into those. Yeah. And I kind of burnt myself out already on them. So I'm kind of sick of them already because it's just so
that's
much.
Because you watch them all, you binge them.
Yeah.
And then it takes forever to them if they're going to have another season. At least with like the older stuff, you had to wait each week. So you looked forward to it.
Yeah.
You watched it. And then the only way you didn't binge, but then it was still in your mind because they reran it until the next season. Whereas now you binge it all and you get through it and you're like, oh, okay, it wasn't worth binging again. So then you like,
you don't want to revisit it because you don't, because it's optional, because you choose to do it.
That's right.
The big difference between the shows nowadays, and I think what the problem is they just don't have memorable themes. How's that for a segue?
You're right. You're absolutely right.
And to Jerry's point, because you if you're binging, you're hitting skip, and what's the point of a theme? Back in those days, like the theme song kind of sometimes told the story of what the show was about. Like if it wasn't an instrumental, I've got two on here that are those examples of the song kind of gives you the story of the show, and that was what was so great about the 70s, 80s, and to a lesser extent the 90s, but the 90s had that too, where the theme song, it was very important that the theme song was it was part and parcel, because especially in the 70s, a lot of TV theme shows were on the charts. They were actually charting. They were hits. And that should tell you the impact of how important the theme was. That once then you start playing it on the radio, then you're actually generating another revenue stream because you're selling copies of that, or people are hearing it on the radio and like, oh, what's the theme from SWAT? What's this SWAT show? Whatever. And then I'm going to go watch it. So, let's kind of get into it now. I mean, let's start off. We're going to do top 5 again. There was no guardrails on this, so it could be from any era, any type of show. There was nothing. I will say one thing before we get going. Everyone's talking about their favorite streaming services. I'm going to tell everybody 2 words, and it's free. Pluto TV. If you want to get great, they have channels where they just show the same show over and over. There's like a Love Boat channel. There's a Happy Days channel, and it's free. And Pluto TV is free. Yeah, there's ads, but if you want to go back and watch some old TV shows, and they have new ones too. I think they have a Yellowstone channel where they just show it. It's free and it doesn't cost anything. So we'll leave it there. So let's kick it off with Jerry. Is this your first top 5?
First top 5. Yes.
This is our first top 5 with
come aboard
4 people.
It is? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then we seem
to be adding more and more people each episode. Even music episodes lately have been like more than 2. Like
we're 20 minutes in and we haven't done one yet, so we better get our asses moving. So, Jerry, especially with 4 people, what is your number 5? What is your number 5 of top TV
Are we putting
theme
them
songs?
in order?
No, go ahead. Whatever. As long as you get to them, don't scramble them, but give me what you got. Don't take the example from.
I don't really have a super order. I will say, actually, probably this one's my first one is The Simpsons.
Nice,
classic, because I have been in love with The Simpsons, and there's not much to say about it with it being an instrumental, but you always have the couch gag at the end. I know it's like 33 seasons,
and the chalkboard,
and it's like. I still, that's another thing, I used to look forward to every Sunday night. I watched it from Tracy Ullman. I didn't really like Tracy Ullman, but I liked the Simpson part. So when that came out, I was in love. I'm probably one of the last fans still, but that tone of The Simpsons will always bring a smile to my face, even if they change, how they would mix it up with it. So my first one, The Simpsons.
Danny Elfman, right, Eric?
Yes. Yeah.
Danny Elfman did the score for that, and it's got a fun kind of it's not too cartoony. It's actually score-ish, right? It's actually kind of has a melodic score to it. It's not like a cartoony like a Looney Tunes theme.
Yeah, like noises and stuff. It rolls, and when you watch it.
Yeah, it kind of goes there a little bit, but to Jerry's point, I love the and that's part of the writing process is who's going to come up with the chalkboard gag this week, or my all-time favorite of that one was the live action one where they had like live action actors come in and they were sitting on the couch, and that was great. That was like, whoa, that was a shocker. Took you right out of the,
after all the seasons, they have to come up with something.
Right. So yeah,
cool. All right, Simpsons. Yeah. Eric, why don't you give us your number 5 since you're? Let's segue right into it.
All right. Well,
keep it rolling.
Not to get too pretentious.
Masterpiece Theater.
I wanted this one to be
a cartoon, and you're going something big.
No, because it actually has a title. Because I actually owned the soundtrack to it. Okay, and it's Mark Snow's the X-Files theme.
Oh yeah.
And it's called Materia Primoris is the name of the track, is the name of the theme. So I really wanted to put the theme to an old show, which was the X-Files was inspired by, which was Kolchak the Night Stalker. So I love that theme by a guy named Gil Malay or something like that. And it had like that. It was like this old, like sort of jazzy type of score with, Darren McGavin coming in, he's whistling the theme, but I could not find a proper version of it. You know how they re-record stuff. So I was like, fuck it. I'll just go with the X-Files because I had the CD. I actually, I love the score to that show. It's moody. It's it really set the tone. And
it's got that eerie whistling. It's like that eerie whistling.
Yeah, it's very much in the.
It sounds like it's whistling. Yeah, it kind of sounds like it's whistling, but you're not sure, right? It's
right, very much in the vein of like I'm sure he was probably a fan of like John Carpenter, and when the way he scored movies, seemingly very simple, but just very effective. So it's like, so it kind of sets the mood for the show, so just, I always loved that theme. And even now I'm watching it on Prime and I fall asleep to it, but it gives me fucking disturbing dreams. Cause you hear like screaming, you hear like, the episodes that you love that were just the weirdest. And then you get that, you're half asleep and you hear the music and it's just like, Kelly's like, do not watch the X-Files anymore. Freaking me out. So I'm like, just leave it alone. Watch something else. I'm like, all right.
The truth is out there.
I have to have,
watch it.
No, when I sleep, I have to have something on in the background. I have to have something.
You can have the sound machine, I'll be less
a fan.
Screaming people getting murdered. That's what he's going with.
That's what he's going with.
All right. Well, anyway, there's my number 5.
Cool.
So,
X-Files. Theme from the X-Files. Christy, what do you have for your number 5?
I think I'm in between the Simpsons and the X-Files. Law and Order.
Yes.
Law and Order.
Mike Post.
Yeah,
man.
You know what? Christy, we're going to do this like Groucho. You said the secret word. First person to get a Mike Post score on there on their list. So you won for tonight.
You talk about binging. This is a show, by the way, that I could binge. Where there were days where it would be on, especially Criminal Intent, like because I loved the Vincent D'Onofrio, like
the wacky character.
Yeah, it gets in their face.
There were days where I was literally like, you have to turn off the TV and leave. Like it was like an addiction. Like I was completely addicted to Law and Order.
When you hear that iconic
it gets you.
I mean that it's used everywhere. It's used in memes. It's kind of it's become its own thing.
Yeah, I think they used it on Howard Stern for something for Baba Booey. I think they did a Baba Booey theme to Law and Order that was actually very funny, like maybe a decade or so ago. But Law and Order is on my list in no particular order.
Yeah. Well, Mike Post making his first appearance. I'm sure. I have a feeling it's not going to be his last appearance.
Very prolific.
Mike Post is the John Williams of TV.
Absolutely.
Theme scores. Yep. And if you don't know who Mike Post is, it's kind of you will know. Probably by the end of this episode, you'll know because I'm sure he's gonna come up. He's just very prolific and he writes really good, just like John Williams does. Good, unique scores for the projects he does. Everything doesn't sound the same. So my number 5, we're actually going to go back to the 60s for this one. This show ran for 12 years. It ran from 1968 to 1980. And it combined, and I love the theme because it combines my love of surf music. And it's the theme from Hawaii 5-0. As soon as you hear those drums kick off, you like the theme song, like shit's gonna happen in this show. Like it's just like the way that the music is just moving and in the intros, like the surf is like crashing into the waves, and like it just totally gets you so psyched. Like the song is just so energetic, and it's like, wow, okay, this is really cool, and it's got that surfy twang to it because it's in Hawaii. The instrumental was very popular. It was covered by the Ventures, which was an instrumental group. The guy that wrote it, Morton Stevens, he actually won 2 Emmys for it. So this was an Emmy-winning song too, and it's just like one of those. Theme from Hawaii Five-0 is one of those iconic songs. What we're gonna do, a lot of these, like Eric said, a lot of these original theme songs versions are not available on Spotify. What we're gonna do instead is I'm gonna make a YouTube playlist because we can find a lot of the clips and the intros. Mm-hmm. So we'll do a YouTube playlist of this, so you can still listen to it, on your phone with YouTube Music or whatever. But we'll kind of gather all these up, and we'll make a nice YouTube playlist. And of course, hit us up on social media and let us know what your favorites are too, and we'll add it to that playlist as well. So once you've listened to this, drop a comment on YouTube or on our Facebook group. Let us know what your favorites are, and we'll add it to that dynamic list as well. Okay, there's number 5 out of the way. Jerry, number 4. Well, what do you got?
The YouTube thing is why I called this whole thing horrible.
Yes.
Because I went down such a rabbit hole of it's so easy just to find 1-minute intros that was what was killing me. It was just so easy just to get lost and stuff. So anyway, my next one is, I don't know when this is another oldie, but it's The Muppet Show. Love The Muppets. Love just the whole wacky, like, like, every time I hear or I think of it, I can just see the curtain opening. And that was one of those shows that was on in our family. Maybe my parents were either curtailing to me, or they were immature and liked them.
No, my dad loved it. He was a bigger fan than I was of that show. He absolutely loved it.
And to me, like back then, I mean, I even enjoyed the guest star. Like that's where I learned of a lot of people that I would probably never have known. Yeah. Even though I was young, you still saw these people. You could see where they kind of fit in to the whole, entertainment type of industry. Like I'm pretty sure I found some people that I would like just from watching that. And to me, that made them on my level because they were there with the Muppets. Yeah. So number 4 for me, the Muppet Show.
It was pretty prestigious to be on the Muppet Show, actually. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of big names that were guest stars.
They did something. The Muppets did something that no other variety show had ever done, which was you saw how they put the show together every week.
Yes.
Right? They're all like behind the scenes with Kermit with the clipboard
Scooter not being able to figure things out. And
that's right. That's right. So they were showing you how a variety show is done, which was brilliant. Nobody had ever thought of that before. How many variety shows were there in the 70s? Like, right? It was just rampant. They
also probably opened the door to The Simpsons because, kind of to Jerry's point, it appealed to kids and adults because the humor, like it wasn't, it was geared towards kids because it was puppets and Muppets, but it really, like, if you want to go back and watch it, there's a lot of adult humor. I'm so happy you picked that. It's on my list. And if I go through that box over there, I have an animal, a Gonzo, a Scooter, a Kermit. Gonzo was by far my favorite, but Gonzo the Great.
Well, you know what? Disney has been looking for them, so could you please let them loose and return them?
It became, for a while, an honor to be on Simpsons.
She's got them in cages.
No, they're in a plastic
They've been on the backs
bin.
of milk cartons for about 5 years now. So please
it's just bring out Muppets, and it's not the people that you have trapped there, and you make them dance for you.
It's like Pulp Fiction
in a cage. Frank Oz is in a cage.
Bring out the Gimp. Bring out the Gimp. They're clad in leather. They're in fetish masks and whatnot.
Eric,
Gonzo with the nose, right?
But Gonzo may be in Apollo Creed
childhood.
In the Apollo Creed shorts, because when I was a kid, my brother used to make my dolls wrestle, and so Gonzo got to be. We painted his shorts like the Rocky 3, the Apollo. So he may actually, and I may have to get it. He may actually be wearing I might have to go.
Might be a collector's item now. That's
well,
like,
I don't
like
know.
Folk art.
He was Gonzo the Great was Rocky.
All right. So Jerry's number 4, the Muppet Show. They made the, you know what the most amazing thing is, they made the leap from Sesame Street, which is a very young kid and children centric show, to a prime time, like Christy said, an adult show where it wasn't adult humor, but it was more sophisticated humor that worked on multiple levels. So the kids would want to watch it, and the parents were like, "Oh wow, this is actually kind of funny," you know. And they would have celebrities on that would relate to that the parents could relate to. So very cool, excellent, Jerry. Eric, number 4.
Oh, this is a throwback. John Sebastian, Welcome Back, Kotter.
Yeah,
welcome back.
Love
it was circling
that show. Now that I think a TV show a TV theme is only as good as the teaser, the opening teaser of a TV. Not every TV show did that. Most TV shows, like especially the older days, like the '60s, they started out with the song, and then you went into the episode. But here, even on a sitcom such as Welcome Back, Kotter, they open with Gabe Kaplan and Marcia Strassman. They're in their apartment, and he tells the jokes, and she's, the stuff that you would find on YouTube today, like how the couples are always, the guy's always joking with the wife. The same thing, and then the music would just kick in, and then it would just and then it would give you this brilliant like view of the city and the neighborhood and the school and all that kind of thing. And it was just, and it's the only piece of music that you ever heard of the show. There was no score. It was just, the jokes would land and you heard the dun, 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 and it just every scene, it would open with that, and then even at the end, there was an epilogue. Again, Gabe Kaplan would, tell his joke and the song would, kick in again. So
they got a lot of mileage out of it.
That's a particular favorite of mine. Yeah, I just love that theme.
That's a classic. That is absolutely, like, Welcome Back, Kotter was in the running. Yeah, and like Jerry said, there's so many that it's kind of and some of them connect right to like certain memories and stuff. So it's you kind of have to go with that route as well.
Which is why I'm depending on you guys to bring out all the ones that I missed.
I'm not even sure if you've watched the show now, if it would even hold up. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it in so long.
It's probably what, I don't know. Yeah. Like some things are just better.
Up your nose with a rubber hose.
Yeah, to see Travolta.
At some points.
Yeah, but there it is. There's my number 4.
What was it? Epstein? Was it Epstein?
Epstein?
Yeah.
He always had a note from his mother.
Rorschach?
Washington.
Rorschach was Ron. Was it Ron
Palillo?
And those guys were they all like in their 30s when that was being filmed?
Yeah, of course. It was.
Then they all joined the Warriors and became a gang.
Warriors.
All right, Christy, number 4. What do you got?
I went with All in the Family, which is it's a theme song. It
is. It absolutely
and
is.
You'll sing it probably as well as Carol O'Connor and James Stapleton, but the All in the Family, I think was a fantastic show. Norman Lear just blowing roofs off of things just with that show. Yeah. And Archie and Edith Bunker, like my father used to say, it was like my Nanny and Papa Jack, my mother's parents, because my grandfather was so gruff and, like a cop in Harlem. And so he probably was a lot like Archie in some of the ways that I don't want to say. And Nanny, although highly intelligent, was like super sweet and kind, and always found a way to make Archie like my grandfather see the error of his ways. And so it was also like I always feel nostalgic about that, because they're like them on some level, but I can't help but think about them whenever I see the show or hear the theme. So it certainly is also a nostalgic thing for me. But we watch that show all the time. I mean,
and one of the rare shows where the actors sang the theme song.
Yeah.
They sang their own theme song in their house on the set at the piano, like they were kind of welcoming you into their house, like it wasn't like a big I mean, it had the outside shots of like the neighborhood and stuff like that, but it was them at the piano, in character singing.
I think it might have been
girls were girls and men were men.
Yeah, it might have been the first show to actually introduce a laugh track in the theme when Edith like, but then later on they kind of dubbed that out. Like they didn't have it all the time. I think they redid it a couple times too, but rest in peace, Norman Lear. He just
101 or 100.
Yeah, not for nothing. It's a good life. I mean, it's sad, but it's not.
Absolutely. He
had a great role.
He was way ahead of his time. Yep.
My number 4. This one is a direct connection. My parents used to watch this show all the time, so it was just kind of the theme to Good Times.
Oh, good one.
It was just like
good one.
Yeah, my parents, we used to watch Good Times all the time, and that was one of the shows I liked to watch because it was funny because Jimmy Walker was like. He was like the celebrity. It got to a point where you would wait until the episode until he got to say dynamite. Yes. Like that became the catchphrase. Like so they would start. They had to write it into almost every episode then because the people were waiting to hear him say that. Such a great, ran from 74 to 79. Fun fact, Michael Evans, who played Michael, he was like the militant son, the young guy.
Yeah.
He was in a play called Raisin at the time, so they were negotiating his contract. A young actor named Lawrence Fishburne played Michael for the rehearsals.
Really?
In Good Times, yeah. He was the original.
He was young. I guess he would be that young. Yeah,
he was like 16 when he was in Apocalypse Now. So he was young, and he was the actor that was portraying Michael in the rehearsals while they were waiting for Michael Evans to get his contract. So he was kind of like a stand-in. He wasn't actually hired, but he was filling in while that got straightened out. But Good Times is it's a great song. Again, it's the same type of thing. It's uplifting, it's upbeat, but it's about a family that has struggles, but it's like, that's not going to get us down. And it was just a great, that show. It's like a direct link to the 70s for me. Like when I look at that,
such a great show. I love that.
Yeah, and you have the set memorized, the kitchen on the right, and the hallway, and the living room, and that was it. Like that was pretty much it.
John Amos.
What was the neighbor's name? What was her name? The neighbor.
Walona.
What was it?
Walona.
And
Bookman. And
Bookman. He came later.
The maintenance.
Very young Janet Jackson as well.
Yep. Yes, as Penny.
Yep.
It was a good show. It dealt with like Dean was saying, it dealt with a lot of issues that people were afraid to touch back then. Like it was, kind of like All in the Family. Like there were some groundbreaking shows.
All in 2 rooms.
Yeah.
Like a kitchen and that was it.
Yeah, I don't think we ever saw the bedrooms down the hallway.
Occasionally, not often.
Did we ever go in there?
Yeah, but it was kind of, that was the main set. Just kind of like one day at a time. It was the same type of thing. It was kind of like here's where you're going to work.
The beautiful thing is that they all splintered off from one another, from All in the Family. So you had Jeffersons, and then you had Florida, who worked for Maude.
Yeah, you had Maude.
Yeah.
Maude was Edith's cousin, and she made her first appearance on All in the Family. So that's where the show's Yeah, it's just Norman Lear again.
Yeah, Norman Lear. It was his universe. He was like the first Marvel, but it was Norman Lear.
That's true. That's true.
The Leariverse.
It was the LCU. It was the LCU.
Very quick, copyright it.
Yeah.
There you go. Jump on it. Cool. So that's number 4. Jerry, number 3. We're rolling through these. We're making good time. So we're making up for the front end. So go for it.
So number 3 for me, jumping a little ahead. I'm not sure if I'm embarrassed for this one, but
is it another cartoon?
No. I do have a cartoon later, though.
It's the OC. No, I'm kidding.
No. Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh, come on. There you go.
I don't know why I love that show. I watched it with Andrea. I don't know the history, but we loved that show. We watched it, and when I found out that Chuck Norris sang it. If you call it singing, and then later on, a friend of mine who I work with, who's from Uganda, learned part of his English he loved Walker, Texas Ranger, and when he said that, and I started singing the theme song, it was like we bonded beyond anything you could ever imagine. So for my number, I guess this is 3.
Number
Walker,
3,
Texas Ranger. I love the show. I know he's nuts. I do love the all the Chuck Norris jokes.
Yep.
You know, everything about how tough he is. I loved him in Dodgeball. Will always be a number one, like a number one show for me.
Yeah, Jerry. You know, Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. Chuck Norris pushes the earth down.
Exactly, and that's why I love his show.
and he does that. He sells the home gym. What is that? That gym?
Which Total Gym, which I bought because of Chuck Norris.
Wow.
And this was years ago, but I was like, you know what? Chuck Norris wouldn't steer me wrong.
I'm getting
a Total Gym.
You shouldn't feel embarrassed. I mean, how many times did I see Lone Wolf McQuade in the theater? I think I saw that. We stayed and watched it again.
Really?
And I think that's what the show is kind of based on. I think it's, you know, he kind of created a character that was very similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
Jerry. Do me a favor, Jerry. Pan your camera. I want to make sure you don't have Chuck Norris in your basement.
I do not.
We already
laundry and tools. That's all I got.
Yeah. We already have a Muppet kidnapping. So I want to make sure that there's not another
kidnapped.
And we also had the Fall Guy. Lee Majors sang that as well.
Actually, there's a movie coming out. I think with Ryan Gosling about the Fall Guy.
Yeah,
that's right.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's a remake.
Emily Blunt.
Horrible.
Yep.
Yeah, and I like the actors in it. I just don't like the idea.
Movies that don't need to be made. So.
I know. Yep.
All right,
that could
Eric.
be another podcast.
It should be. Number 3, Eric. What do you got?
Well, number 3. This is for Jacob. We bonded watching. He loves anime. This is a Cowboy Bebop. The theme song to that is called Tank with an exclamation point. And it was the soundtrack to this thing is phenomenal. It's an album that I would like to get, you know, because they sell it on vinyl. You can buy the, soundtrack. Jazzy score. It's brilliant. It's like a noirish type of stuff. It's jazzy. It's written by a woman named Yoko Kanno. And she formed a band called Seatbelts. And she is the front woman of this band, and they play this sort of Lalo Schifrin type theme, like Mission Impossible with the bongos and everything. And it's just a real big band, like the horns kick in. It's so energetic. It's so great. I just love it. So that's good. That's my number 3 for him.
Did they do a live action version of Cowboy Bebop for Netflix? I think, right? Stephen Yeun was in it. I think. It's not worth mentioning.
Okay.
Everybody hates it. Yeah.
Stick with.
I never saw it. I didn't bother. But
it only ran like one season, right? Because they did it and everyone was excited, and then they're like, oh, okay,
this is not good.
Some things don't translate well.
Series that should not be made.
No.
Swing and a miss.
Yes.
All right, Cowboy Bebop. Tank is the name of the title. So we'll get that, and we're going to put it on the YouTube playlist. It won't be Spotify. Christy, number 3. What's it? Number 3. What's it going to be? Raspberry.
You're on.
You're right there.
Anytime you're ready. Dead air is not a good thing.
Yeah. We will keep talking.
It's not a dramatic pause, Shatner.
Sabotage. Facts of Life.
Oh
yes.
Take the good, take the bad,
take them all.
And there
you have Facts of Life. It's first of all, I love the Facts of Life. Who doesn't love where George Clooney got to be a weird guy later in the later years?
Yeah, that was weird.
But it was, the marriage of different strokes and which I loved.
Spinoff, yep.
And then because of Edna, but I love that show. I just loved the whole concept of it. You didn't often get shows where it was, especially in that time where it was just all female lead driven.
Yeah.
So that was a nice, especially as a young girl growing up to see that, and then to have the different types of girls, which was really, I think, important. I probably didn't realize it at the time, but to have the girly girl and the tomboy, and then the athlete, and then
Joe was hot.
Yeah, Joe. All about Joe.
When
I was that age.
Michael J. Fox.
When I was that age.
I agree with you. He was dating
and
her.
she looks And she looks exactly, well, I wouldn't say exactly the same, but she looks good.
But it was just such a fun show, such a great show.
Now, did you like when they were in the school, when it was Edna's Edibles, or when it was that weird...
Edna's Edibles.
Wasn't that...
The show was ahead of its time.
Isn't that what it was called, I think? Or then it was like that weird gift shop at the end.
That was later. Edna's Edibles, I think, came later, no?
I like the school.
I thought that burned down. The food shop or whatever burned down, and then for some reason they went to a gift shop, which did have the best episode, the Halloween episode. Do you remember that one? It was like a mystery.
Jerry.
Yes. I'll stop.
It's fine.
That was very close to being on my list because of the whole run of it. Though I didn't like when Cloris Leachman was on it. She was a little weird.
No, I preferred,
that's her forte.
I preferred the earlier, but I like Cloris Leachman. I didn't like her on the show, but I preferred in the school the early years was my preference. But
yeah, no, that's a great. And
I'm actually
another. Like so many themes that are part and parcel of the
Jerry
show.
Watched it.
Yes.
Right now.
Yeah, Jerry has them all on Blu-ray.
Jerry actually has all of those women locked up.
I have Chuck Norris guarding them.
You're worried about the freaking Muppets? This guy's
No, but that that's the thing about these shows is the music. Those themes are like part and parcel. Those are like the you hear the theme or you think about it and then you remember the show. It's kind of it's kind of that entree into it. And like I said, that was like the opening thing. Like you knew, like when that theme was on, it's kind of like it's kind of like comfort food. The themes, because they kind of. It was good music. They were making music. It was important at the time. It was important because you didn't know if it was going to be. It could be a hit song too if it got picked up on the radio. So it was an important part of the whole experience. So.
Well, it's definitely part of the sensory. It's kind of like when you smell something and it reminds you whether it's like there's a certain perfume and I don't know what it is, but I'll get a scent of something or remind me of my Nana. Like it's very distinct. And when you hear certain songs, like it transports you. It's this whole sensory thing. So it's nice. It is. Like you said, it's very comforting.
Absolutely. My number 3 is from the 70s, and it's got the wah-wah guitar and the swinger teasing vibe of the theme from Three's Company.
Yes, another one almost on my list.
Come and knock on our door. It's like so teen. Yeah. Take a step that is new.
It fits that show when you watch it. It's perfect.
It's so schmaltzy and
But it's one of my favorite shows. But the theme is just like that. It's like so 70s.
It's
like
John Ritter.
It was
and you see him crashing the bike and everything.
Yeah, and he's like, that's when they used to look at the camera and like smile, that kind of thing. The Ropers, they're like looking at the camera, like Norman Fells, like aping for the camera, and it was just all indicative. But that was like one of the great, like when you hear that theme, it's like it's so unique that it's only one. It's not a score. It's not it's just a strange kind of weird 70s of its time piece of music that fits that swinging. It fits the show, it's kind of a little tawdry and the vocals kind of a little leery, it's kind of like, knock on our door.
This may be an unanswerable question. Ropers or Furley?
Ooh, go ahead, Jerry.
I shouldn't admit this, but if I'm choosing between those, I'm going Furley. But when I was in high school, my friends used to say I looked like Mr. Furley.
I had a feeling it was coming.
The whole look.
Those of you on YouTube just got a bonus.
Yeah. So,
do it again.
You're right.
One more time.
Can't even do it.
No, never not see John Knotts.
But a better question is Chrissy or one of the others.
All right. Well, wait. Let's go to Eric. Ropers or Furley? We got to settle this one first.
Yes.
Ropers or Furley?
Ropers for sure.
Roper's for sure.
Norman Fell.
Yeah,
he was just.
Yeah, but you had Don Knotts.
He's brilliant. I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I like the banter between the two. I like the whole, like, curmudgeon, and she's the the put off wife, and she
when you
they
used to
never
come
have
on
sex.
when you used to come on to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christine, Ropers or Furley?
I think I would go Ropers.
Yeah. I'm gonna split. I'll split the vote because I'm gonna go with Furley
because
I'm gonna go with Norman Fell. I'm gonna go with Norman Fell for the times when he used to look directly in the camera.
Yes.
He used to break the. He would make a joke and break the fourth wall and when he would say something
or a joke.
He would kind of make a joke or an innuendo and then like kind of look at the camera.
He's got that side eye with the eyebrow raised, like
he was so self-satisfied that he made the joke that he had to let the audience know, like, that was a good one. So that was a strange. No one else really did that. He broke the fourth wall on that show.
Yeah.
He's kind of doing it. Yeah. Now you're saying which is the best replacement roommate, or is it Chrissy or any of the other ones? Jerry? So you're saying Suzanne Summers, Jenny Lee Harrison, or Priscilla Barnes?
Yeah.
Right? Well, which?
I would go. Priscilla Lee Barnes was she was the nurse, right?
Was Terry.
Yeah. The cousin in between.
Yep.
She was entertaining, but I would go Terry the nurse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eric?
Are we just talking replacements or?
Yeah. No. Your preference, Suzanne Summers?
I always like Janet.
Okay. Well, but we're talking about the
well, that's what I mean.
Suzanne Summers or the replacements.
We're talking about the blonde.
Yes, the one that left.
Right?
Yes.
Wasn't it Suzanne Summers Suzanne Summers was the original, right?
Yeah. Yeah. She was definitely
I go original.
I'm going to go with Jerry again too. I think Priscilla Barnes had some nice comedic timing, and by then the show was kind of fully developed. It was always an innuendo, or they thought they heard about someone having sex in another room. So so that it was like it was always that type of things. And I think by the time Priscilla Barnes got there, the show was like a well-oiled machine as far as the scripts go, and they kind of I think she fit in pretty well. So
and that was a show that in my house I can't remember who it was. Either someone did not think it was appropriate for my age.
Probably wasn't, but
how old were you?
I think my father just didn't give a shit. He was like, whatever, watch. It was either my grandmother or my mother when it was on once was like, I don't know if he should be watching. I remember it because it was up in my grandparents' summer house. And I didn't get half the, but I can remember that was like one of the first times where it was like
tawdry.
Yeah. I didn't learn anything, but
and then Jerry went outside and pretended he was Indiana Jones.
Yeah. He pretended it was Ralph Furley. He went next door and asked for the rent.
He was Don Knotts with a whip.
All right, Jerry, number 2. We're closing in on this. What do you got for your number 2?
Okay, I'm going back to the cartoons.
All right, here we go.
Back to after school cartoons. DuckTales.
DuckTales. Ooh.
Exactly. That's why, because it's stuck in my head. It's one of my favorite cartoons. It's one of my favorite video games. For those that played the NES, it was one of the first ones, or like it was like just I don't know why. I don't know what was it about. Like that whole show, I can still watch it now if I'm like riding a bike in the basement type of thing. You could put it on and it just brings back memories. And the song was just catchy as hell to me. So
it satisfies the Indiana Jones.
There you go.
It was like Disney's version of Indiana Jones. DuckTales.
Yeah.
Woo. They actually brought it back. They brought DuckTales back with Phil Lamar, a couple of other voice actors. The animation was a little updated, but they still kept it relatively simple.
Yeah. Not the same, no. I tried
the same,
it.
but I think it was on Netflix. I think it was Netflix or one of those, or maybe it was Amazon had DuckTales. They kind of brought it back for a limited run. But nowadays, even when they try to do that, there's always going to be that too hip, too self-aware nowadays. I applaud them for trying and for wanting to resurrect DuckTales, because that's kind of like a lost, a lost show, but. It's not the same as the original.
Never is.
Yeah. Never is. Number 2. Eric, what's it going to be?
I say this with absolutely no embarrassment.
Uh-oh.
But
theme from Romper Room.
No. Oh. But let me just throw out the name of the composer, Bear McCreary. I mean, he is one of the most prolific, composers now. Walking Dead. I loved him on Battlestar Galactica. But this, the Skyboat song from Outlander, is an old Gaelic tune that was it's ancient, and through the centuries, it's been rewritten. People just wrote lyrics to it with each, he wrote the lyrics, to the show. It's sung by a lady named Raya Yarbrough, who is actually his wife. They actually met while scoring Battlestar. And I think it's brilliant. I think it's a beautiful song, a beautiful show. I love it. Ron Moore. He's man. And each season has a different flavor. Like it starts off with the Scottish, flavor. Then there's like a third season is they end up in Jamaica. So there's sort of a Jamaican feel to the music, and they kind of change it up with each season. I love the way they kind of do that, with each, so it makes it interesting, and it takes you into it, and it's just it's romantic, it's gorgeous. I love it. So there you go.
I thought you were going to go with Walking. When you said Bear McCreary, I'm like,
Walking Dead.
I was thinking Walking Dead. I was like, okay, Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Or Walking the Dead,
as Christy called
Walking
it.
the Dead.
Walking the Dead.
we have to end the show. I have to go walk the dead. I have to go walk the dead.
I walk dead.
I watched the first season, and I stopped watching it after, like, I got halfway through the second, and I'm like,
what are we talking about? Walking Dead?
Walking Dead.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that could be a whole show in itself.
Quick. Yeah. So,
I stuck with it, but then
Outlander was a show I watched, Eric, and then I gave up after like the first two seasons. Then I felt it kind of was just. I loved it. It's like it becomes like a soap opera, and that's when you lose me. For me,
well, some people,
it definitely is. It definitely is, but I love the history of it and and the sort of time travel aspect to it. Yeah, but I get it. I get that. So, but it's, but yeah, I mean, Ron Moore kind of stepped off and gave it to some other writers and stuff. So you can definitely tell there's a difference, in like the later seasons and stuff. And I think now they're in the American Revolution. So you got to that point now where they're just
a lot of drum and fife music.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love a good drum and fife.
Who doesn't? Wooden teeth. Christy, number 2. What do you got?
A complete opposite. I went with Cheers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Classic.
Where everyone.
Yes.
Is that another Mike Post?
I guess I got two.
That's two.
Two.
You got 2 of them.
That's
I got
2.
Do I get a prize?
Right? Is that Mike Post? Everybody knows your name?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I have no idea.
No.
You sure?
No.
You said it was, so now I still win. I get a prize. Right. I don't know what the prize is, but
well, we'll have to see.
I'm a
I could be wrong.
Again, I feel like I have a theme here. Like a lot of my shows, Frasier came from Cheers. Did anything else come from Cheers? I don't think so. But
no.
I mean, what a great!
I think Wings was a spinoff of Frasier. I think the guys that created Wings, because
it wasn't Mike Post.
It was Gary Portnoy.
Portnoy,
is the composer for the song. Yeah. But, yep.
But yeah, that was it was a fun show. It was a great show. Before you ask, before we throw out Shelley Long or Kirstie Alley, I'm going to say Shelley Long.
Yeah, Shelley Long.
Yeah, sorry,
Kirstie Alley. And then Coach. In the beginning years, you had Coach, and then young Woody Harrelson.
I don't think we can choose between those two.
No, you can't choose between them. But you get this Woody Harrelson, this country bumpkin boy, doesn't have a clue, and just Ted Dan. Just a great show, well written with a lot of characters. But that song comes on, and you're in the bar.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the sign outside the bar, and it's just it again just transports you into that little world.
Yeah, that want to go drink.
Well, it's relatable too. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that theme is like it's like a grilled cheese sandwich and a bowl of soup. It's like, even if you didn't like the show, like that theme, it feels comforting. It just feels, and it can immediately, there's another theme also that can immediately take you back in time. And that's one of them. When you hear that little piano tinkling in the beginning, doodle doodle doo doo. It's kind of like you're automatically like
it's calming.
You're like it automatically almost puts you into like a state of kind of peace. It's like, oh, okay.
They should, in prisons when their riots break out, they should play the Cheers theme.
There's other verses to it also, which are unnecessary. Yeah, you could just stop it at the first verse.
Yeah, but it depends how long the fight goes on. You might have to play it.
Keep playing it.
But it is a good song. You don't realize how poor a life Norm and Cliff and they all had sitting in a bar all day, but you're like, I think I could handle that. That could be fun.
I'll tell you, in the 80s, that was one of the reasons I became a mailman. I thought that's what you did. I thought that was part of it, is you get to hang out the bar. It didn't, so I left. I'm like 9 months later. I'm like, I'm not staying in the post office. You don't get to do.
I keep getting in trouble going to the bar.
But think about it, like every time.
And I haven't learned a thing. I don't know anything.
Every time Norm walked in, and they said, "Hey, Norm," it was always different, but he had
it's like the chalkboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they must have been in the writer's room, like after years, like, what are we going to say in the next 20 episodes?
Yep.
Well, that was part of the challenge, is to keep that fresh. Keep it fresh. My number 2 is a similar type of thing. This show would always start off with someone making a phone call and leaving a voice message. This is Jim Rockford. Please leave a message. And the guy was like, "You son of a bitch! Like, you're supposed to, where's the money owe me, whatever." And then the great, and now we'll get the Mike Post bell.
Mike Post, yeah.
The great Mike Post theme to the Rockford Files is one of my favorites of all time, and it's jazzy, it's funky, it's got the Moog organ in there as well. It's got that guitar at the end, that like it play like they had different versions of it. There was an electric guitar version. There was a more synth heavy version. It's another one of those ones that was just so funky and like made you want to watch the show because the theme was just so cool. Like Mike Post is just so great at that, and that was one of them. Like Rockford Files, I actually have it on Spotify. It comes up, and I'm like, it's a song that you can listen to on its own.
For me, it's the harmonica.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's a harmonica. Sometimes it was an electric guitar. They changed it up. Like
that's true. But
over the seasons, they kind of changed it. They would change the song would be the same, but they would change some of the featured instruments. So it was always like fresh.
I always love the I think it's a French horn. That brassy that comes in and it's like, dun, 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 it's like epic. Like this is like a deadbeat. Guy, like Gumshoe.
Gumshoe that drives a Camaro.
It's James Garner, right? And Rockford.
James Garner, of course. It's Stuart Margolin, and
that was a great show.
Noah Beery was the father.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Again, that was such an era of that. That is long gone. Like that kind of, like I said, like networks would line up have their lineup, and they would put these shows together to keep you watching. So you'd go from like 8 o'clock to 9 would be the family stuff, the half-hour sitcoms. Then 9 to 10 would be like Barnaby Jones, or like these hour-long, Mannix, like all these like hour-long shows, and then 10 o'clock the news would come on. So it was just a whole different era where the networks were trying to line you up to keep you on their network.
Yeah.
And we're bemoaning, I'm not even bemoaning it. I'm getting nostalgic. It was such a glorious time for television because it was just like Macmillan and Wife, and it was all these like detective shows that would, like Eric said, Columbo. You had all these heavy hitters in the 70s, and they all had these themes. It was all like recognizable, even if you didn't like it. Like I said, even if you didn't like the show, it was just kind of like the themes were just part of what was going on in the house. Even if you were in another room and the show came on, you heard, they're watching, you knew
what time it was.
They're watching Sanford, they're watching Sanford and Son, which is another one that probably should have made the list. But, all right, that was number 2. So now we're going with our top one. You can call it number 1. You could call it the last one. You can call it whatever you want. Jerry, what do you got for your final pick?
I'm going The Greatest American Hero.
Nice,
Oh,
Joey.
thank you.
Joey Scarberry.
Walking on air, I never thought I'd
Because
be so free.
And I recently was watching it. I think on like Pluto TV or something.
Does it suck?
And it's really the show. It was like because the first one is like a movie.
Yeah.
So it's a long episode, and it was tough. But just that whole, you hear constantly. It was in Seinfeld, for his message, and that song will play in my head. I have that song on my
Such a great
playlist.
song.
Yep.
Classic and the guy sucks at being a superhero. He doesn't know what he's doing, but it's always a pick me up to me. And that to me has always stuck out. I will play that song in my head constantly.
Ring the bell. That was my post.
That was a big hit by Joey Scarberry, was the vocalist on that.
Yeah.
And that was a radio hit. That is endured because it's become not because of the show. The show didn't run very long. It wasn't very popular, actually.
It was barely 2 seasons.
Yeah,
short.
The song has outlived it. Robert Culp.
Just Jerry and I watched.
It was like the agent,
The scenario. We always like that word. The scenario is,
Jerry, I give you a ton of credit because, like what Eric was saying before, I wouldn't rewatch it because I know the memory is so much better than the show. And I want to keep the memory of how much I loved watching.
Put it on to see because I didn't remember enough of it. I just remember like the theme. That's what brought. And when I saw it was on there, and I watched it. And I'm like, probably should have stayed in my memory banks. Yep. But the theme lives on.
It's kind of like
lives on forever.
It's kind of like Count Chocula. Like I can never eat it again.
What? I could eat. I'll take a bowl right now.
With your tea sugar.
That's right. A spike tea with a whole box of Domino. Domino granulated.
When you ate Rice Krispies, did you put a ton of sugar or Cheerios?
Yes.
So you had the sugar milk.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes. If a cereal didn't already have sugar, it had sugar.
And if it did have sugar, when I
was done, it had sugar.
It just sank right to the bottom.
Yeah. Wait, you guys didn't put
sand.
It was like drinking sweetened sand.
You didn't put sugar on like Frosted Flakes, did you?
No, because that had sugar in it already.
So there was a limit.
Corn flakes were enhanced.
Yeah,
by the Domino granulated.
You had to.
Finest crystals this side of White Sands Park in New Mexico. Anywho, Eric,
where are we at?
It's like the Walter White of Domino sugar.
All right, I talk about. I mention this all the time. Come on, Miami Vice.
Jan Hammer.
Nice. I am that guy from the Wedding Singer, the dude in the DeLorean, the asshole. I used to blast that thing all the time. I had the sound in the car. Yeah, it was. The show would start again. That teaser, that opening teaser. Somebody got shot. Somebody got killed. There, or something weird, like dramatic happened. And then it would kick right in. You waited for that theme. You wanted to hear that theme at that point because it was just so.
You love those electronic drums.
Yeah, But he did. He did the entire score. I mean, there were several themes from that show that I absolutely love.
Crockett's theme. Yeah, there was there's so many great moments musically. I mean, it's just that he did it all himself, and so that kind of stuff. I didn't mind. But very 80s, very much of its time. But yeah, it's just Michael Mann took a very cinematic approach to that series. I mean, that where it was scored, where it was one guy that did it. There's probably a little groundbreaking early on.
That's why you watched it.
Talked about in the past, yeah. I mean, with the inclusion of popular music as well. But then you had Jan Hammer, who was formidable in his own right, and again, that was a number one hit. I believe the theme to Miami Vice hit number one.
Mm-hmm.
It was another big one. So again,
and it felt like Miami.
Yeah.
Like
you wanted to go there. You wanted to I want to check this out.
The cigarette boat races through the water and the
definitely trees. I mean that show really got under your skin. You wanted to. I just want to go to Florida. You know what I mean? And it's I'm telling you, it's not what it's cracked up.
It's not like that.
No, Eric,
you get down there, you're like, what the F is this?
Eric, those are 6 words I never say.
I want to go to Florida.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, it was just so exotic and so like other like not New York. You know,
it was normal.
It was.
There was a mystique. There was a mystique to it. It seemed like
style.
It was cool. It felt like it was cool and flashy.
You could just as well not wear socks here and loafers and no tie and a.
I mean,
and
people
pastel color.
Yeah. I notice that's a thing again. Guys are always wearing like the slim pants with no
socks.
And
their
the
feet
and
must be sweaty and gross and uncomfortable.
Nice.
But they're probably wearing those the no-show that you can't really see. I have to imagine.
They
could be. I don't know.
But a solution that didn't have a problem. No-show socks. Don't wear socks. Just don't wear socks all the time in my shoes. It's not a problem. I don't need a solution. It's a problem that doesn't need a solution.
Well, it's a solution for people around you who smell your feet.
For a problem that didn't exist. So, on that note, what's your top choice? This is your the guy behind you.
Predictable, but it needs to be said. Friends.
Okay. There it is.
I'll be there for you.
The Rembrandts.
Well, and
probably the last big theme song.
Probably, and definitely. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone, whether again you like the show or not. There's no one who hears that theme who doesn't think of Friends.
Right,
I happen to have loved the show. It was part of the Must See TV Thursday, which never happens anymore. And it was Must See TV. Like you had Seinfeld, you had Friends. There was a time when I think 90210 for a little bit was filtered in there. So it's just part of. It's just again a whole nostalgic thing. But that song, like it comes on the radio. Came on the radio, and that wasn't something that was all that common. And we had a couple on here that we said would come on the radio, but that was like I mean, you probably could Google it. That was probably a chart topper.
Yeah, it was a major hit. Oh yeah, that was a major hit.
It was a major hit by a band like that. We had other hits that we knew of. So
yeah, like I said, I think that was the last of that era of of songs becoming a hit on the charts.
Yeah, because now it's like
such a sensation.
Now it's like what Eric and Jerry were saying. It's just like it's just. It's not a lot. I don't know if a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of thought doesn't go into theme songs anymore, but you can skip. So they're probably like, what do we care? Yeah. But yeah, Friends was.
How many claps are in it?
I don't.
5?
It's 4. It should be 5.
Why do you know that?
Because someone asked it.
I think it's 5.
It's 4.
Yeah, he's right.
Yep. Someone asked, I think Matt LeBlanc in an interview, and it threw him off. And it's weird because it should be 5. You think it should be?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. Apologize to the listeners that you blew their ears out.
So Friends, and I loved the show.
Yeah, it was iconic. It was iconic, and it was like I said that was one of those things. It was the TV show became such a part of culture that the theme song people were, it was hip, it was bouncy, it was of its time. It was that kind of 90s alt pop.
Yeah,
that was popular. So it fit in.
It was perfect.
It wasn't an outlier. It fit in with the music of the time, of the popular music of the time. So it was like a perfect fit.
Yeah, again, you could catch yourself humming it or so it's just
Yeah. I even do musical impressions as well.
Yeah. Actually, what I was told, Dean, is that you are going to actually, for all of our 5 picks, you are going to sing or do humming.
I might get a kazoo.
with your sockless feet.
That and I might use the lute also and play it on the lute.
Lute is in the crossword puzzle often.
See that? Not money lute, but the instrument lute. Okay, my final pick or for the end of this list, Eric threw me a curveball when he said, "Oh, this is my favorite." I thought for sure
Twilight Zone.
For sure
Twilight Zone.
It was going to be Star Trek. Alexander Courage is. Oh my God! It's still I still get goosebumps when you hear like the tinkling of the intro, and it goes part and parcel with William Shatner's narration as well. You know, like that whole thing, and then it builds up to this cinematic theme in the '60s that was just, oh my God, it was so great. And there were a couple of versions of that too. There's season 1, it was just a violin score. And then by season 3, they had that woman doing, like, like the vocals. Fun fact, that whoosh sound of the Enterprise going by, that was actually done by Alexander Courage. He went like he made that noise. Like, it wasn't like, it was no special. I'm being dead serious. There was no special effect. That was Alexander Courage making like a whoosh noise as it went by. It is the mother of iconic science fiction scores, maybe along with Twilight Zone as well. But it is just one, and Eric will testify, just the scoring of that whole series was scored like a movie, like it was taken as campy as the show might be perceived. The scoring and the music belies that. It was, some of it was very dramatic and, dun, dun, but that was, but that underscored what was going on in the show too. It matched it. But then a lot of it was beautiful, and just that main score for Star Trek is just a beautiful piece of music. It was just, it's got like that orchestral sound to it, and it feels like it's spacey and airy. It's just one of those great things. So
absolutely.
It definitely came to mind, of course, but I think I didn't really want to repeat some of the picks that we had done for our top, what was it, TV shows.
Yeah, true.
We actually talked about TV shows, and so here we're talking about themes. So I didn't want to.
That was 4 years ago. No one's listened to that episode. Oh boy, no, it's just a great list. Like I said, I could foresee in a year or so a part 2 to this, because there's so much stuff that was that we didn't even touch on. Like I said in the beginning, if you're still with us, hit us up on social media or YouTube. Leave a comment with what yours is, because I'd like to hear it too. I'd like to maybe it's something more recent, or maybe it's a treasure that we forgot. We still have a little bit of time. Let's at least do one honorable mention. Let's start there and see how far we get. Jerry, an honorable mention that was on the outskirts, looking over the fence, couldn't get in, didn't have ID.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard. Wow.
I love the Dukes.
Just a good old.
I know it's probably not really accepted today.
No,
but the song I loved.
Yep.
And
Merle Haggard, right?
Yes, and my again, a lot of it probably goes. My father loved country music, and when we would drive, he would pretend he's driving the General Lee. So it just brought a lot of
Bronx River Road.
Yeah. And we would do the old, we're jumping. So it just brought a lot. And that was on Friday night. It was the Hulk, Dukes of Hazzard, and then and those were two, like we would watch them back to back, and it just great. Plus it was just a good song.
Yeah. That was just, and that was by a major star too. Merle Haggard was like a certified country star too. So to get him to do that theme was a huge get. So, all right, honorable mention, Eric. What do you got for one?
Well, here's my Mike Post.
Okay,
it's a lesser known theme. I don't know if you guys remember The White Shadow.
Yeah, Ken Howard.
No.
Ken Howard. It was Mike Post wrote it, and Larry Carlton played guitar, jazz guitar on it. So he's featured on it. And I remember that was one of the shows that I my brother and I don't have a lot in common, but we used to love watching that show together, especially the theme, because we would laugh at the theme. Like, it had that big dramatic Ken Howard, like at the end, he's like this, and you hear the horns like, like, and it just ended right there. And it was just like, and we would just fucking laugh, it was just so dramatic, but it made the point, it was a good show. It was probably
only ran for a couple seasons. But,
underrated, but we loved it. Yeah.
About the kids playing he's like the high school basketball coach, and he was a basketball
of course,
player.
He gets involved in all their problems, and
tries to help them.
Tries to help, but maybe a little too much. But So, but anyway,
it was an inner city high school, right? And he goes out there and helping the kids. But yeah, no, I remember White Shadow. Absolutely. Yeah. Ken Howard, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is the son of Ann Landers, the famous columnist, or Dear Abby, one of those. I believe he's Ann Landers or Dear Abby's son. So that's for the really old people that are listening. Those are for the older set.
Weren't they sisters in real life?
What's that?
Weren't they sisters in real life?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's either one of their sons,
one is an aunt, and one is a mother.
His aunt.
There you go. What do you got, Christy? For you're getting farther and farther away from the camera as the episode goes on. You're like drifting. You're drifting away.
She's the chair is rolling.
She's taking her back.
This is I'm going back. I might, because I anticipated this. I had Greatest American Hero, but Jerry ruined that.
Okay. Nice. Ruined it.
And it's popular, but I'm gonna go back to the Lear verse, and we already mentioned it, but the Jeffersons. How do you not have moving up on up? Like it's just, you hear it, you remember the Jeffersons, you know the song, you know the lyrics. Finally got a piece of the pie. Like it's such a great song. And another a great show. Sherman Hemsley is like and then the spinoff of that was, I think, 227 with Marla Gibbs, right? Because she was
227 is the place to be.
Yeah. So
another bit of trivia: Roxy Roker, who played the neighbor, her son is Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Really?
She was the
She's married to Tom.
Right? Tom Wilson? Was Tom Wilson?
Yeah, not Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson is the actor from Back to the Future.
So what was Tom's last name?
I don't know. It was just Tom, and I forgot what her name was. But anyway, Lenny Kravitz is her son.
And then her granddaughter then would have
Zoe Kravitz. Zoe Kravitz from the Batman.
The Batman.
All right, my honorable mention. Wow, I've got 3 here. My stuff's been so highfalutin that I'm going to go with. It's on the second page. Oh man, it's by itself on the second page. I have to go
2 pages.
Yeah, because I write my stuff out and I write the information. I don't know, just
do you write it like big letters, like block letters, like that paper?
I write it in Calibri.
Cut some out of magazines.
Calibri 11. Calibri 11. Some of it bold. I'm gonna go with the theme. I want to save one. Wow, I've never been this conflicted. Usually, I have my stuff ready.
Can you
go.
spit it out?
See, it's horrible. I told you.
See,
I'm going to go with the theme from the Banana Splits, the Tra La La song, which I've always loved it as a pop song from the '60s.
I don't know that song.
Tra La 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 La.
No, I know that song.
1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4 bananas make a bunch, and so do many more. That was the theme to the Banana Split song, and that was like a show where the guys dressed up in these big costumes, like one was an elephant and one was whatever, and then they would introduce the cartoon. So they were like the live action. They were like a fake group. They were kind of like the Monkees, but they were like a musical group. And in the beginning, this song would play, and they're like driving like quads, like down the hill. They're like driving 4-wheelers and showing like all the things that the Banana Splits do. And this song, the Tra La La song, is just a great it's a bubblegum pop song. And it's just a lot of fun song. And I remember it from my childhood. So that was,
and now it's been tainted.
It
went public domain, and it was like somebody wrote a horror script.
Yeah, I didn't let that taint me. I actually disregarded it. I make like it doesn't even exist because it was actually so horrible that it was even disavowed. So
and now they're doing it with Mickey Mouse, with Steamboat Willie.
Steamboat Willie.
I can't believe that. I cannot believe
and
that.
They're making another Winnie the Pooh now that Tigger is public domain. They're making another Blood and Honey with Tigger. It's just stupid. Yeah. But hey, that's what public domain is for. Do you want to do one more?
Sure.
One more. We'll roll through one more alternate honorable mention. Jerry, do you have another one on hand?
Oh, I have plenty.
Boy.
I'll just pick one. I'll go Bonanza.
Bonanza. Nice.
I used to love. Again, I guess I watched a lot of TV with my dad because that's where it started. The map started to burn. And then the whole, dun, 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 like, and I would watch it and I would be like, this, I mean, it always amazed me what they went through, but the song he'd always I don't know what, hum it, whatever you want to call it, he would do. But that was always, and you can still hear, people always, for whatever reason, it comes up in, when they're trying to come up with a song or whatever. So if I had to pick just one off this list, we'll go on Bonanza.
Bonanza. Nice.
Yeah. Great
choice. What do you got?
All right. We mentioned it in the opening of the show. So, but the theme to MASH.
Yep.
Suicide is Painless.
Suicide is Painless.
Song.
It's actually an instrument. Like in the movie, it had lyrics.
It was
Johnny song. It had
Johnny
lyrics,
Mandel
right?
wrote the song and sang it. But in the show it was. I especially like the end credits one, where it's a little bit more upbeat. And it has that like shows do, like that corny ending. They always have that little extra bit at the end, like din, 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 like after it should end on a certain note, but it's like they extend it. There's a little, they
have to outro it,
right? Yeah. But that's one of my favorite. I mean, of course, the montage of them helicopters landing, it just sets the tone. And it shows you the seriousness of the show, even in the early seasons. It was a comedy, and then it just got serious after. But you couldn't laugh at that. I mean, this is kind of, you're watching something a little bit different here. This isn't like laugh out riot, kind of thing. But great show, great theme song.
Yeah,
yep.
Iconic show. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they try to spin off of that after MASH.
Oh my god, yeah.
And it was like one season. It was like with Klinger, the priest.
They were all in the hospital together.
Yes,
it was horrible. I think on Radar they actually did a pilot with Radar.
Oh, really?
And they just I think it was just the pilot, and it was horrible, and they didn't go with it. But
supposedly Gary Berghoff's not a nice person anyway. So that might have contributed to it.
What was it? Was China Beach? Did they try to be the new MASH? Remember the show with Dana Delaney?
That was a little more serious, though. China Beach.
Yeah,
right?
It was like a drama.
Yeah. Oh, and then they had Trapper John. They had Trapper John MD show too.
Oh, that's right. Pernell Roberts. Who and I always thought but he he doesn't look anything like Wayne Rod, but he wasn't supposed to be the Trapper from the show. He's a Trapper from the movie. Which makes more sense.
Yeah.
Or my book.
Trapper was played by
not Elliot Gould.
It was Elliot Gould. No, it was
the other guy. Donald Sutherland, or was it
Donald Sutherland was Hawkeye. But Elliot Gould, I think, was Trapper.
I think it was Elliot Gould, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so it makes more sense because Pernell Robert, he has the curly hair. If he lost his hair, it makes he had darker hair. So that makes a lot more sense.
He wasn't happy doing that show either, Pernell Roberts. He thought he was meant for Shakespearean roles and like highfalutin stuff, and he's like, why am I? And then it got popular, but he always like was never a fan of doing TV. He thought it was beneath him. Like, okay, well, yeah.
Well, he did Bonanza. He was the older brother on Bonanza, so he had to start somewhere. But anyway,
it's a gig. Take the gig.
Right.
The gig. Christy, honorable mention number 2.
Dramatic pause.
Yeah.
Dead air.
Yeah.
Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone.
Yes.
There you go. Eric. That was for Eric.
Phenomenal show. But the music's iconic. It gets referenced a lot. People constantly, doing it. It's just, and you can't, when you hear the music, you're just you're looking at you just see the Twilight Zone.
You're drawn in.
Yeah.
You're just drawn in.
Right in.
It's unsettling too, though. The music. Yeah. It's kind of like
it's a little creepy, but
it's a little like paranoid. Like
it's supposed to be. I mean, Twilight Zone is
But I actually like the theme from season 1 as well. The Bernard Herrmann, the one where it was just like that was like. I mean, that kind of set the tone for some of the scary episodes. When you put that music to the scarier episodes. I mean, and even like the closing credits, it was so like, you like the ones where where the people don't win and they just with those really like ironic endings, and it's just so like so traumatizing, and you hear that music, dun, dun, you know, like it closes. That's like the final nail in the coffin.
It's like the episodes where the nightmare never ends.
Right,
It's like
that exactly.
Like
yeah,
you're caught.
Yeah.
And if you watch that now, it seems weird because everything always ends like watching it now. But those that you're just like, it just doesn't, like, you feel unsettled because you're like, they're supposed to win. They're supposed to be okay. What's going on?
That's not life, Jerry.
Yes, but neither is TV.
That show will never diminish. Never.
No.
It holds up. I mean,
New Year's, they still do that in the honeymooners. You have to pick.
Oh my God. How many times have they tried to reboot that show and it's never been successful? Never.
I liked the movie. Did you like the movie?
I did
but
when I later watched it.
Well, I have to say no, because Vic Morrow got killed during the making. He got his head cut off.
Most of the segments were
in real life.
You know, like Kick the Can. Spielberg did Kick the Can.
Yeah, Cocoon.
Yeah.
Gremlin.
Yeah. All right, my final.
Actually, just while we're on the Twilight Zone movie, the last one with the kid, where he put his sister in the TV in the cartoon with no mouth, and then they had to eat the peanut butter on the burgers. He had to eat what he wanted. Like, that kid creeped me out. With the advent of special effects, they kind of expanded upon those
they could
crazy ideas that, you see the guy in the jacket, but all you see is the shadow. But to me, that was even creepier. It was off camera, so he changed, and he's just like, and then you see the close up of the guy's face with the dunce cap on, and it was just like, what the.
Yeah, it's usually the fear of the unknown. That's why those shows. That's why those shows were so great, because they had to figure out a way to scare you without being able to show you everything.
You know what? During dry January, you watched the Twilight Zone on edibles. Probably a cool experience.
There you go.
Absolutely.
On Edna's edibles or whatever.
Edna's edibles.
Charlotte Ray's edibles.
Is she still alive?
My final honorable mention is a bass heavy theme song, but before Seinfeld took the boom bip boom bip, the slappy bass. This was for my parents, the theme from Barney Miller.
I had that.
Yes.
That was on my honorable mention. Brilliant.
Really jazzy.
Yeah.
It's got the guitar in it too, like all these scenes, like these are like real compositions, were,
and then it just gets like fast, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, and it's just like,
it just ends.
It just kicks in, and it like, bam, it's like,
they had to squeeze in like a full jazz song into like 45 seconds, so it ramps up pretty quick. Like they ramp it up pretty quick. It's like we want to show you what jazz is. If you're new to this, we want to show you. Here's what jazz is like in 45 seconds. Here's a funky bass, and then we're gonna ramp it up pretty quick. We're gonna get it up to 60 as fast.
That was it was a great show too.
Yeah, my parents loved Barney Miller. They just that was that dry humor, also especially when Steve Landisberg got on the show. But with Abe Vigoda, it was just one of those. All these shows had these great casts of diverse people. And put like, what situations can we put these people in? This was like a police precinct, and like Facts of Life was like a girls' school, and Sanford & Son was a junk dealer. All these different scenarios that they put these these characters in, and then kind of built the world around. And that's another show. Barney Miller pretty much happened in the precinct and Barney's office. Like, that was pretty much it. There were very, very few times they
left.
The
guest stars.
Everybody would be coming in.
Guest stars that they drew in the cage.
Guy would be in the jail to dry out overnight or whatever. Just like
there was always some sarcastic. The guy's the con man trying to get trying to worm his way out of the the deal or
or listening to the problems that the cops have, and he's offering his
his 2 cents.
Shut up, Oh, well, if you should talk to your wife about it. The guy's like,
and then Hal Linden, when he got going, man, when he started with his, he was lecturing everybody, and when he really started those monologues would just come out, and when he got angry too, it was great, just
and the inspector would come up and get everybody's names wrong.
James Gregory, Bond, how you doing, Bond? That guy. That guy had the same voice, even in the Twilight Zone. He still looked the same,
I think he was in Planet of the Apes, also. James Gregory.
Yeah,
I think it was in
he played. He played. No, that was Claude Rains, but not Claude Rains, but Claude Atkins. But
Claude Atkins, yeah.
But he was in. Yeah, I think he was in Battle.
Maybe? Yeah, he was in one of them.
The last one, yeah.
Urko or Ursus.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, that's going to do it. I think with that's a great. That's going to be a great playlist. That's what 5, 6. That's 7 each times 4. So this is going to be really a nice playlist. Again, we encourage you to join us on social media to add yours. It's going to be a YouTube playlist, so we'll link it, but we'll have it on our YouTube channel, which would be kind of neat. Another reason to subscribe. You'll be able to get it all right there, which is kind of fun. Awesome list from everybody. Christy, thank you so much for joining us. Much appreciated. As always. Hopefully you're keeping warm wherever you are.
Yeah, I got my heater, I got my hat, I got my raspberry.
I think McCready's
raspberry
in the
beret.
Her raspberry beret.
I think McCready's in the other room from The Thing. I mean, it looks like you're dressed for
She's in the Muppets right now for Fire.
I will be sending a picture of the Muppets.
There we go.
Their arms, if their arms are behind their back, don't ignore that. That's how they like to sit.
That's it. Jerry Sullivan, thank you so much again for
my pleasure.
Another
this
great
awesome
episode. Yeah, we're going to have to regroup this. We're going to have to re-team up in about a year for a part 2 to this.
Hopefully, Gilmore Girls makes it on Jerry's list.
We'll see.
It was on the list at one point.
I'm kind of hoping for Dawson's Creek.
So disappointed, Jerry. Andrea will never forgive you.
It was on the list, but sorry,
didn't make it.
Can we go again? I just thought of another good one.
Nope, you got to save it for the next. Save it for the part 2 in about a year or so. So that's going to do it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again. You can join us if you want more of this. Join us on our Facebook group. There's a lot of great people there that interact. We share a lot of great information. You can post there too. You can kind of show us the stuff you're interested in, and we love to comment and also engage there. So find us there. And of course, you can find our episodes on your favorite podcast provider, and then also go ahead and like and subscribe to us on YouTube, which will be an added bonus. So for Christy, for Jerry, and of course, for Eric, this has been Dean, and we will catch you on the flip side.
You've been listening to the 3324 podcast with Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber. You can find us on your favorite podcast provider, so please like, subscribe, and rate to become a part of the 3324 family. Your feedback is important, so make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at 3324 podcast and on Twitter at 3324p to join the conversation.